Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devyam Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Dheerayat Nashpraeshu Bhatreshu Nityam Bhavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakta Bhavati Nashtake Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Om Ajnanatirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshur-militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna-preshaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamine Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatadeshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gotase Namaha Vanchakalpa Tarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubheva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Uvesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastrate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktarinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So welcome all for today's Bhagavad Life program. I'm correct, that's what we named it. We are on the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. All of you would need to refer to the verses. Otherwise, fantastic, you put it, great. And I have enabled the screen sharing in case somebody wants to share the screen. And I'm just making some changes. All right. So we are on the third canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, 12th chapter, titled as The Creation of the Kumāras and Others. We kind of read up to the 14th verses, where largely we saw. We can just take a look at the translation because I'm also getting open the book right now only. So text one, we'll just quickly read through this. Srimatriya said, O learned Vidura, so far I have explained to you the glories of the form of the Supreme Personality Godhead and its features of Kala. Now you can hear from me about the creation of Brahma, the reservoir of all Vedic knowledge. And now from second verse, Visarga has been described, where Brahma begins creation. And it talks about what did he create first? Brahma first created the nescient engagements like self-deception, the sense of death, anger after frustration, the sense of false ownership, and the illusory bodily conception of forgetfulness of one's real identity. What is this? Nicene engagements. This refers to the conditions of the material world. It is extremely important, worthy of introspection on this. I believe we would have discussed something on this. I'll again read. Let me just paraphrase this first. What are the conditions of the world where you live in? Self-deception, swayam ko dhoka dena. The sense of death. Sense of death means to experience death. However, Krishna says, Najayate mriyate va kadach, but the experience of death. Anger after frustration, whenever desires are not fulfilled, it leads to frustration. Frustration leads to anger, and that we all have experienced in our life. The sense of false ownership. Nothing will belong to you, but you'll still think this belongs to me. And it is by default to all and every one of us. Illusory bodily conception. Everyone thinks this body is mine and thinks the relation to body is mine. I and mine. Aham ameti. Or forgetfulness of one's real identity. One would not remember that who is he, the true identity. So this is the thing. The moment the child comes out of the womb of the mother, he gets covered up by the condition. And therefore, Prabhupada said, we are conditioned living entities. Are you getting the purport of that? Why we are conditioned? Because we are conditioned by these conditionings, which are mentioned in this verse. All right. Text number 3. I'm just doing a quick recap. We have discussed this last time. I just got to open the book now, so for my own reference also, I'm just reading it. Text number 3. Seeing such misleading creation as a simple task, Brahma did not feel much pleasure in his activity, and therefore he purified himself by meditation on the personality of Godhead. Then he began another term of creation. Very interesting thing, if you take a look at it, seeing such a misleading creation as a simple task, because what he is doing is putting everyone into an illusion. And he is not in ignorance. His Swambhu was born of Vishnu. So he is not somebody who's covered by this. He is creating the deception and seeing that I have to put everyone under illusion. It is something which he did not like. Seeing such a misleading creation as a simple task, Brahma did not feel much pleasure in his activity. Therefore, he purified himself from meditation on the personality of God. It is such a profound subject matter, such a profound subject matter. Okay, bear with me. I'm not intending to complete the chapter. We'll just discuss how it goes about. I'm not even intending to start a new verse. We'll discuss. I don't know what we discussed last time, but I want to make some important points here. Please pay attention to what has been discussed and said here. You take an example of anyone for that region in this creation. Anyone would hardly like their service. Now, among the 12 Mahajanas, Swayambhu, Narada, Shambhu. So Brahmaji is first. Brahmaji says, I don't like it. This is sinful. Take a case of another devotee, Yamarajji. What does he do? He also doesn't like the service. He has to punish it. Think about Shambhu. We don't have a direct reference to Shambhu right now. Lord Shiva or Shambhu here has to describe. Do you think he would like the one who's Ashutosh, the most peaceful? What does it mean? We are living in a world where the things that we have to often do as a service, just like Arjuna fighting the war, was it to his pleasure? Not at all. Think about Srila Prabhupada at the advanced age of 70, leaving for America. Was it for his pleasure? When he was staying in Bombay at Mrs. Sumati Morarji's employee quarters. So his neighbor, Prabhupada, had made some acquaintances there. So neighbors would gather once in a while in the evening just to see what Sadhu is doing. So one neighbor was joking with Swamiji and said, Swamiji, America जाने का सपना रखते हो, बुढ़ापे में भी enjoy करने की आशा खत्म नहीं हुई है. And Prabhupada said, no, this is not about for me to enjoy. It was the order of my spiritual master. If you deeply reflect on the subject matter, our major problem that we face in practicing bhakti, we want to pick a service that I like. I'm sorry, you're not in the world where it happens like this. You're in the wrong place. For that, you have to be back in Vaikuntha. We are in the world where services often will be asked to do, or we would have to do, which we may or may not like. Or what we like. Here, Brahmaji says he purified himself by meditation on the personality of Godhead. How did Prabhupada do the service? By always meditating on the instruction of his spiritual master. And Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur in the very first meeting to Srila Prabhupada said, as Abhay Charan Day, you are a young man, you are an intelligent person, you know English, you should preach in English. Hey, where was the liking and disliking? Bhakti Siddhanta didn't even got to know of him. He just immediately told him what to do. He didn't say and ask, oh, what do you like? What do you dislike? Is it your skill? Is it part of your value system? Going to America, going abroad and all that. He was a Bengali, he could have spoken and preached in Bengali, why to say in English? And that too, when he was part of the Quit India movement later on, he himself quitted the Quit India movement. And he became a wholehearted member of the Gaudiya Vaishnava Parampara. The point here is to think service is going to give me sense gratification. You're still on a sense gratificatory platform. Service is not about sense gratification. Service is about pleasing the individual who has given you service. And why the system is designed like this? Because Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, in the letter which he wrote to inquiry made by Abhay Charna Aravinda Das in 1936 or 37, the year Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur departed, it was the last month, a month before a letter had come from Abhay Charna Aravinda Das or our Srila Prabhupada. And the letter said, Guru Maharaj, you have so many disciples, so many are in announced order, they're doing so many things for you. I'm a grahastha, I'm a fallen devotee, I don't know what to do, how can I serve you? And at that time also, the same instruction reiterated back to Srila Prabhupada. And if you read the letter, it clearly mentions, it will do good to you and good to others who follow this. Which means the process of Krishna consciousness of purification, the process of purification, you want to call it that way, is to take shelter. And how do we take shelter? Just like Draupadi took shelter when she felt she is in a helpless condition. Unless we are put into a helpless condition, we cannot take shelter. Why? Because we are coming from a conditioned background, which means heavily caught up into bodily consciousness. Time and again, we go back and take shelter of our bodily consciousness and limitations or strengths. I have intelligence, I have this skill, I have this and that. It doesn't work like this in the path of bhakti. Now, with this as a little background, if you want, you can just take a 30-second break here. Think about anyone rendering any services. For example, Rupa Sanatana Goswami, they left everything. Can you imagine? Think about it. Rupa Sanatana, Rupa and Anupam, they left first. They left first means they left everything. They didn't know what's going to happen. They had no idea of service, isn't it? No service has been allotted to them. I want all of you to put yourself in the shoes of Rupa Anupam or Sanatana Goswami right now. You are extremely wealthy person. Extremely wealthy person. You leave everything and to go and serve Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. On the way, you got to know Chaitanya, long story short, I will skip that whole details. And you get to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Prayagraj. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spends some time with you and he gives you a set of instruction. And that set of instruction was to build temple. How many would have said, यार पहले नहीं बोल सकते थे एक हफ्ते पहले मैं बेफालतू में अपना धन संपत्ति छोड़ के आ गया बंगाल में. Yes or no? How many would say? Hey Prabhu, to see residing in the heart, sarvasya chaham vriddhi sannivishta mata smriti jnanam apahanam cha. You're not a Chatya Guru who's a manifestation of Paramatma. You are the Paramatma. You know past, present, future. If you wanted me to build a temple, hey, you could have sent a letter now. I could have brought all my wealth. I have come as a beggar now. Where in Vrindavan? Whom would I beg? There is nobody rich person living in Vrindavan anymore. Because Muslims have destroyed it 3 times completely. And now you're telling me to build temple? Well, they never said like that. In other words, how much they had to struggle to fulfill that wish. I mean, when Govindev appeared to Rupa Goswami had become so disheartened. If you know the story of how Govindev appeared to Rupa Goswami, he had become so disheartened. Where are you, Prabhu? Where are you? I have been searching. So many days have gone by, but I have no clue where you are. So if you look at it, anyone for that reason. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, how much? I mean, you just go out in the temple, ISKCON temple, go to Jivdaya, you get a nice printed, hard-bound Chaitanya Charitamrita. Bhaktivinoda Thakur had to search for a single genuine copy of Chaitanya Charitamrita for more than 7 to 8 years. So much he had to struggle just to get a copy of Chaitanya Charitamrita. And for him to then set up, establish again the mood and mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, was it easy? Never easy, never easy. So to think seva is going to be of my liking, seva is going to be for my sense gratification. You give me one example. Yes, there are examples where gradually, okay, leave it, that's not what important. There would be examples, but that would be when you have reached to the mature stage of consciousness. There you begin to find satisfaction within the service. Why? Because now Krishna reciprocates. In the beginning, he would not. In the beginning, he will test. And that's what is happening here. What was demanded of Brahma? Brahma, this is your service. Job profile is given to him. Now for you, you have to first, ye yathama papadana, take my shelter. That's what Brahmaji did. He took shelter of Lord. Then when I'm pleased, I will reciprocate. So there are examples of Srila Prabhupada. Although he struggled, the same Srila Prabhupada in Mexico, he went out for preaching for a whole day, came back around 10 o'clock in the night, and then he told his disciple, all right, get me some aloo puri and milk. Now we'll feast. And then the disciple said, Prabhupada have not taken even a single morsel all through the day. And then Prabhupada concludes, this is the life of a warrior. Preach all day and eat little and serve all day. Prabhupada at advanced age, he's glorifying. He did literally ritual fasting all day. And he looks to be in ecstasy. When he will get the book report scores, he would be in ecstasy. But that wasn't the case when he started the service. What was his ecstasy? He got kicked by a bull or the buffalo, right? On the streets of Delhi. When he was doing book distribution, was it an ecstasy or the cow? Bull, I guess, mostly the bull. He was kicked or punched by the bull. Where was the ecstasy? It doesn't work like this. It doesn't work like this. So there's certain fundamental truths that we should be really clear about. And ambiguity about it leads to unnecessary crisis. And Krishna and Srimati Radha is standing on the altar looking at it, and they're always smiling. कब सुधरेगा ये मुल्क? कब समझ आएगा सच्चाई क्या है? शास्त्र को भी अपने ही दृष्टिकोण से देखता है. साफ साफ लिखा है, ब्रह्मा जी हो कोई भी हो, who was happy? Whole Bhagavad Gita was spoken only for that purpose. How did you know it was not happy at all? So that's the point here. Didn't like the service, and yet he had to do it. One thing about service, another thing about service here is a very, very important subject actually. One of the most important subjects. If you ask what is the most important subject for a sadhaka, among the most important subject would be seva. Because our service attitude, if it is not proper, that is what creates obstacles in our progress. And then it leads to Vaishnava Prad and whatnot. See, let's take a little bit talk on the seva only. Think about what's happening with Brahma. Now, when you get a service, it's not necessary you may have the necessary skills. Empowerment is there, which means you have been given the service, but not necessary you may have the skills. Then what do you do if you don't have the skills? Any thoughts? What do you do when you don't have skills? You have few options what you can do. First option, if somebody is of a lazy intelligence will never do that, a lazy bum will never do that. And the first thing is go through training and education, acquire the skill. This is such a big, misunderstanding. Sadhu life means retired life. One hand should be in feedback, other hand should be in the prasadam plate. Just keep enjoying life. Like a mendicant, not a mendicant, it's called, but sadhu who's a mendicant. Travel in AC car, we fly in airplanes, we have all the comforts if you look at it. Some of you may not have life insurance, brahmacharis have life insurance. How much comfort and convenience has been there? And we get so used to it Think about it. I'm particularly speaking with the renounced order because at times we become such a lazy bum, we don't want to do anything. We do things as if, it's I'm doing bahut asan kar rahe. And how is the difference? If service has been given, then you strive to do it better. You improve it. Not that you just struggle to do something and keep coming back and, proving a point, maine kara hai. So if you don't have it, you learn the skill. What is the idea of service? Is empowerment. What is the idea of service? Is to share the load and responsibility of the leader, not to become a burden. If you keep going back to ask even every petty things, better he does it now. That itself shows your service attitude. I remember when this point really struck me. This is somewhere I must be in my 6th standard or 7th standard, and my cousin's sister marriage was there, and one of the senior member in the family came and asked me, "Can you go and give water to the guest?" वो मंगनी होती है ना, पहले जब शादी हुआ करती तो 1 हफ्ते का प्रोग्राम होता था और एक जगह सब प्रोग्राम होता था. It was like that, So it was a day before marriage or something, a short event where only handful of family members have assembled along with the groom's family members there. I was a lazy guy, So what would a lazy guy would do? Now, imagine if something has been asked of you. Please go and serve water. What will you do? Go and find there is a water. Put it on the plate and serve it. Is it a rocket science? Is it a rocket science? Don't you know where to get a drinking water? Don't you know where the glasses? Don't you know where the tray? Even if you don't know, can't you go to the kitchen and find out in the kitchen and ask somebody? What I did, I'm telling you my own example, what I did. Because, the attitude of service is not there. So what I did, Prabhu ji, pani kahan milega? Glass kahan milega? It seems like you're asking a very innocent question. It's such a rubbish question. And then and there I got chastised. He said, if you don't want to serve water, tell me this. Don't give me this bullshit. My ego, I was in 6th or 7th standard, my ego was deeply hurt. And I was thinking, मैंने ऐसे क्या गलत बोला? मैंने सही प्रश्न पूछा, मुझे क्या पता था पानी कहाँ मिलेगा? Is that a nonsense or not? And then later on, because the ego would not let you realize whose mistake it is. The ego will only tell you he's wrong. And then when everything's settled, then it was like, what a rascal I am. Such a lazy fellow. I just want to play around. I was in a 6th standard. This is not now, okay? Those of you in case waking up from sleep. Ye bhi kal ki baat nahi hai. When I was in the 6th standard, which means I may be, 12-year-old boy or something? Something around that. So I was pretty lazy. I was a frolic. I want to just go around and play around with my cousins. And then I remember a day later when I was thinking about it, I realized what a nonsense I am and how lazy fellow. घर में रहते मुझे नहीं पता पीने का पानी कहाँ मिलेगा. घर में रहते मुझे नहीं पता ग्लास कहाँ मिलेगा. And I understood I didn't want it to serve. And I was just looking for an excuse. Is it how? Do you agree with this? If you don't want to serve, you become so dependent. प्रभु जी ये कैसे होगा, प्रभु जी वो कैसे होगा. मतलब तू पढ़ा लिखा नहीं है क्या? तू जाके देख नहीं सकता अपने क्या? अगर तेरे को सब कुछ बताना है तो मैं खुद ही पानी इतने में तेरे को मैं बताऊंगा कैसे करना है पानी देना. तेरे को ऐसे थोड़ा बोला है कि जमीन में गड्ढा खोद कहीं पे जाके पानी पूछ के निकाल. Is it service given? Go and find fire. Prabhu, beta, can you go and find water? Where would you get water in this Ashok Vihar? Go and dig well. Was it something like this, which a 6th standard boy cannot do? So that's a pretty nonsensical attitudes. And when it hit me hard, and it really changed me. I said, can't happen like this. We can't live with excuse. So when I see this kind of attitude, I just get wild. When nahi karna to side mein baitho na yaar. Ye kya dramabazi? If you can't learn it, what do you mean? Tumhe koi rocket chhodne ko bola hai kya? Jaake rocket launch karo. So here there's a point, Brahma, service attitude, service, didn't like his service. So we often would be given, not often, our services would be like this, which would be largely against our conditionings. And why does Guru puts us in a situation where services are like this, which you probably don't like? Then how would you take shelter? If you like what you do, then would you need to take a shelter? And if you don't take a shelter, how would you grow? For example, Guru gives an example on this. Back in 98, 99, he was like, मुझे ये वृंदावन जाना है, मुझे ये संस्कृत सीखनी है. Because he loved to read. He had that little, inclination. He wanted to become scholarly Pandit. He wanted to travel around, give pravachan. Who doesn't like to be sitting on Vyasasana, being fanned around, and people are sitting on your lotus feet? Who doesn't like it? Every Tom, Dick, and Harry would want to do the service. What to speak of when you're talented and when you have the potential. When people are saying you can do that, you're qualified for it. So Prabhu shares an example that I became very adamant. I have to go. I'd all figured out all the details for where I'm going to go and study. Gopi Pran, Gopi Pran Dhana Prabhu. In his place I'm going to study. And then finally, when he met his spiritual master, which means His Swami Maharaj, Ma said nothing. No, you're not going anywhere. You're going to kitchen department. Henceforward, kitchen department is your main service. He said, "Mera preaching bhi band kar diya Maharaj ne." Every evening he had youth program. And Maharaj kahan se bole, youth program? Nobody, no problem. Somebody else can do it. And he brought me to kitchen department. That's how his kitchen department service began. He said, I was like, oh no. पहले इतना तो था, अब तो वो भी किया, अभी मैं यहाँ पर आ गया और मैं किचन में रोटियां बेल रहा हूँ, ये कर रहा हूँ, वो कर रहा हूँ. And then he says, this is something which he shares now, and he says, thank God I listened. I didn't listen to my ego. Thank God. If I would have gone, first of all, I would have disobeyed. And if I would have gone, I would have been long ago would have left ISKCON. Because the more you become intellectual, then you don't take shelter. Again, you get into ahamamiti. It is not easy to give a bodily consciousness. Then you begin to take shelter of your intelligence. And then you give vitark for everything. Why we should do this, why we should not do this, that is not the subject matter. Subject matter is follow. As instructions have been given, follow. Can anyone would be more learned than Srila Prabhupada? Did he do any tark with the instruction given by Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur, or he followed? What do you say? So first, learn to follow. And now if you see, he has spent his years following that. So it's not an overnight thing. It doesn't happen that your attitude, your condition will change overnight. First, become a proper servant. Then you can be a leader, which we all aspire somewhere at the back of mind. I should be sitting on that pedestal where people are looking at. No, it doesn't happen. Brahmaji has been given that position, yet he has to do the simple thing. He has to do the groundwork. And he's not saying, Are Prabhu, I'm your son. Give me some resources. Mere samtan char panch ko aur de dete paida karke. No, can't you Brahma ask Vishnu, give me some manpower? And I can engage manpower. Yes or no? When service comes to us, how much we demand resources? Can you give me this? Can you give me this? I don't have bike, I don't have money, I don't have manpower. How much resources we ask? Now imagine, we may or may not have that resources. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Vishnu, what Vishnu cannot give you? Did Brahma ask for that? Brahma asked, what is the instruction? And that's what we read in the previous chapters. Vishnu said, do this. Brahmaji said, all right. What did Brahma ask? Do you remember we discussed those prayers? And I said, please by heart these things. It's so important in service. What did Brahma ask? Anyone remembers? Yes, save me from distraction, my dear Lord. Save me from distraction. Give me the necessary empowerment, intelligence so I can carry out your orders, and save me from distraction. You can't do big things like this without taking shelter. Brahmaji started everything from scratch. Yet, Vishnu could have given all the resources. Yes or no? Srila Prabhupada started everything from scratch. He had to build everything from scratch. Although being a pure devotee, Vishnu or the Lord would have provided him all the facility right from the day one. But how much he had to struggle. We have a living examples. Think about it. Who is not there? Think about it historically. Any one example, if you can contribute to that. Have you wondered if Prabhupada was a pure devotee of the Lord? Why Prabhupada had to struggle so much? Prabhupada says in one of his 1972-73 lecture, Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur's appearance celebration, and then Prabhupada says, all of you have been sent to me by my spiritual master. I'm so grateful for all of you. When I heard for the first time, I said, oh, really? Why did Lord took so long to send them? Lord could have sent them back in 1940s when Prabhupada started publishing Back to God magazine. He would write article, publish himself, go street to street in Calcutta distributing BTG magazine. Why the manpower couldn't be sent by that time? This is 1943, 1954. Jhansi he struggled then when he started League of Devotees. Then he struggled in India. Why wasn't it sent? Therefore, it is mentioned, if you read Lilamrit, it is said, lifetime in preparation. What is the message of for a sadhaka? Unless our shelter, unless our surrender, Sharnagati. So you can say, Prabhupada teaching through his example, by the time he left America, he had become 100 and 200% sheltered or surrendered to the will of the Lord. Therefore, when he reached there, what a beautiful song he wrote. My dear Lord, I am your puppet. Make me dance as you want me. I don't know why I've been sent here, although I have been given the name of Prabhu. I've been given the name Bhakti Vedanta. Now you kindly fulfill the purport of it. I am your puppet, utterly unqualified. Yes or no? Markina Bhagavat is a song that he wrote. That's the first song that he wrote when he reached Boston Harbor. That's what he wrote, which indicates, and that song when he wrote, His Holiness Adhanath Swami Maharaj mentions, he did not write this song because tomorrow some follower is going to read and draw inspiration from you. Isn't it? Many times we do things so that others will learn. There was nobody, Prabhupada even didn't knew anyone ever going to read this letter or the poem. For whom did he wrote this? It was his heart's genuine expression towards the Lord, which indicates at that point of time, he was 200% surrendered. So bhakti is not the way we think and we look at it. So here Brahmaji is saying, expressing, I don't like the service. Well, that's always going to be the case. What to do is your part, you are in the material world. When you go to the spiritual world, then what is the meaning of rasa dance? We talk about rasa dance, we have heard about rasa dance. Rasa dance is all about dancing to the tune of Krishna. Dancing to the tune of Krishna. Have you seen that rasa dance videos? Beautiful videos are there. Is moving in a particular movement, is to tune yourself to the frequency of Krishna. And how do we access Krishna? Guru Sadhu Shastra. That's the highest, is said to be the manifestation of devotion. So it begins with aligning ourselves, in service. And that's how the journey from selfishness to selflessness. And that is what Shashtakam also. If you take a look at it, Shashtakam, Cheto Darapana Marjanam. It is about whom? There is nothing about Krishna in the first verse. It is only about you. Whose heart is getting purified? Me. There is not even a single aspect of service towards Krishna. So why we take to Krishna consciousness? We want something for ourselves. We want either purification of heart, we want Shanti. The Shashtakam, if you take a look at it, how beautifully it has been composed. It begins with Cheto Darpana Marjana from the platform of selfishness. Have you ever wondered why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will say at the end, Ashli Shava Padaratam Pinashtuma? Even if you kick me, I am not going to leave you. That's the platform of selflessness. Full Sharnagati. And this is, if you look at Prabhupada's life journey to America, this verse was an action. Prabhupada had 1 or 2 heart attacks, I believe. 2 heart attacks. Can you imagine? 2 heart attacks. He could have said, you and I would have said, अरे यार तुम्हारी सेवा के लिए जा रहा हूँ, तुम कहते हो भगवान हो, कहते हो हृदय में विराजमान हो, और हृदय को हिला दिया. हमें हृदय को भी अर्थ को हिला दिए, तो दुनिया का क्या रक्षा करोगे? कहने को तो तुम हृदय में विराजमान हो, तुम ही सब कुछ हो, और yes or no? Our faith would have shaken. Nothing. Even if you do this, I am still sheltered under you. From selfishness to selflessness. That's the life of a sadhaka. We don't become sadhaka because we are moving the beats, because we are chanting. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu very clearly mentions, we read Krishna Kavira Chaitanya, that is not nama. Nama is not because you're vibrating, you're speaking something from your mouth, that is not called nama. Nam is sung or chanted when it is shown in your attitude. And that attitude is seva bhava. Just like Prabhu often says that he was recently making a point also again. While we are chanting, what prayer? Chanting is a prayer. What prayer are we making? What is a prayer that Prabhupada taught? What is the meaning of Hare Krishna Mahamantra? My dear mother, my dear father, Srimati Radharani, Lord Shri Krishna, kindly engage me in your service. Kindly engage me in your service. So 2 hours, as Prabhu explains like this, 2 hours we are saying, please engage me in service, please engage me in service. What is Nama? When can you chant? When can you really chant? Or when are you really chanting? When it is shown in your Seva Bhava. So recently I was making a point in one of the forums. Prabhupada, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to establish Sankirtan. What is Sankirtan? I believe I was speaking about this in NOI text 1, Vachuvegam Rasupadavegam. What is Sankirtan? Sankirtan does not refers to only chanting Hare Krishna. Sankirtan refers to spreading the glories of the Lord. What do you mean Sankirtan? Spreading the glories of the Lord. Spreading the glories of the Lord means preaching, outreach. And Sankirtan, chanting of the holy names, becomes a subset of it. It's not the only set. Or you can say the goal of it is to bring everyone for chanting the holy names of the Lord. So Sankirtan is about preaching. So if you want to chant, if you really want to chant Nama, or really take shelter of the holy names of the Lord, we all have to ask, am I taking part in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Sankirtan? Which means, how am I contributing towards the preaching endeavor? Otherwise, why would Srila Prabhupada say, book distribution is my lifeline? Yes or no? Prabhupada said this, book distribution is my lifeline. Prabhupada could have said, chanting is my lifeline. Prabhupada said, book distribution. So what is my contribution towards preaching? And to that degree, your service activity as it develops, to that degree, Nama, we are able to take shelter, we are able to chant. Otherwise, ऐसे तो मायावादी भी उंगलियां घुमाते हैं. ये सोचना कि मैं 16 माला करूं, 32 माला करूं, मैं हरिदास ठाकुर शिष्य बन के 192 माला करूंगा, that is not chanting. It begins with Seva Bhava, service attitude. What's our service attitude? So that was the point over here. Hare Krishna. That happens when I don't open a book before and see what I have to speak. So we are on the 3rd verse already. I already told you, forewarned you. I'm just getting to open the book. I just came late night and my health was down with that. Anyways, ठीक है, थोड़ा श्लोक at least इतना तो कर ही लेते हैं जितना last time पढ़ा था. So text number 4 talks about birth of 4 Kumāras. Then the 4 Kumāras were appeared. Text number 5 talks about the sons disobeying father. So I would like to make a few more points now. Son disobeying father. They said, no, we're not going to do the service. So that aspect before I touch, I want to speak something about services. Just to conclude this whole discussion, there are 5 challenges in services that we face. Let's highlight those. I have spoken it. Let me put it into a terminologies so we remember that. The first is dissatisfaction. We lack or we don't find satisfaction in the service. The problem is not with the service. The problem is not with the instruction that you've got in the service to do the service. The problem why we don't find satisfaction in the service. Who gives the satisfaction? It is Krishna. Why are you not having a reciprocation of Krishna? Why? Yesham tu antagatam papam, right? What is that? 7.28. The shloka. Unless you're purified of all sinful reactions, you cannot become steady. Similarly, we are not finding satisfaction in service is because of my sinful actions. My reciprocation with the Lord is hampered. So those fellows who keep complaining about seva is largely because of this. Second challenges in seva is disrespect. Disrespect towards whom? The one who gave you seva. Saying Prabhu, Prabhu, offering obeisances, वो एक social pressure हो जाता है, एक courtesy call हो जाती है. Again, the respect actually is shown by how we take to the instruction. If we have a respect to somebody, think about it, if we have respect to somebody, if he says or she says something, would we take it seriously? Yes or no? Say that loudly, yes or no?
Yes.
That's it, disrespect. So not doing things properly is an indication of disrespect. like this. Third, challenges in services, disturbances. Disturbances means which are created by us only. Just like Rudra was given the service of creation. And what he did through that service, he created disturbance. So challenges in services which are created, first, dissatisfaction because of own sinful actions. Second, disrespect. And third is disturbances, which means not doing the service properly, not understanding what is the mission, what is the goal, what is the end result that is expected. Brahmaji said creation. Of course, Brahmaji should have clarified what creation. But because Rudra was not clear about creation, he took it on his own and he created what he wanted to create. And he created the demonic class. Among them, the gays, the first gays were created in this were born in this creation, disturbance. So when we take, so this, I'm talking the 5 things. So this is the thing which should be careful, while executing service and minimize. And how to minimize that? You have to put your head into it. I can give you one input. For dissatisfaction, again, is over a period of time and your purity increases, then you begin to find. As I said, Prabhupada, then the maturity was relishing it, it was ecstasy, from that perspective. Disrespect, of course, you really have to go at the core of your heart. Prabhupada was asked, Prabhupada, I don't feel like offering obeisance. Prabhupada said, do it. Follow the etiquettes, Vaishnava etiquettes. And when you follow that, then the respect follows. Like this. Disturbances largely arises because we are too hasty, don't know what exactly has to be done, or we are too reckless and careless in our service. That get a clear understanding. Prabhu, what is the result that you're looking at? Can you do any service without knowing what is the end result? Think about it. Yes or no? And that's what happened with Rudra. Rudra wasn't aware what was the end result expected. And therefore, after Rudra created, Brahma was running. Isn't it? So first of all, we should have what is the end result expected. Fourth is distraction. This all comes in this pastime. Distraction. Brahmaji was given a service. We're not going to read now. We'll read next time. And Brahmaji himself got distracted. The incident of Vak, something produced from himself, own daughter. He got a little bit lost, attracted. So distraction. And could be many things in our own life. You got to think about it. Distraction largely for us will be time wasters. That steals our time. Activities that steals our time. We have to find out what it is. One of the major distraction is inherent laziness. Tamoguna. We're just too lazy. We're too lazy. And somehow we get into too much sense of comfort and convenience. I'm particularly strong on this because I didn't had an upbringing in a very pampered environment in Krishna consciousness. I saw what struggle is. I saw what a struggle just to survive as a devotee back in America. Then I saw what a struggle it is just to render service when I had to start Ninjavadi from scratch. And I know what's the value of it. Therefore, when I see people becoming lazy, idling about it, and too much on the bodily consciousness, they go, ye parishani, wo parishani. You're just reducing your lifespan into devotional life. It just doesn't work. You're just cutting short your lifeline in terms of how long you can serve. So you want to enjoy your life, be more body conscious today, all the best. And then tomorrow you have to bleed. It's unavoidable. It doesn't work like this. And the fifth is deficiency. Deficiency, it could mean not knowing not having the required skill sets. We discuss about it. We may not have the skill, then what do? We learn about it. If in case it's still beyond our capacity, what we do? We find people who can do it. We train others, we inspire others to do it. So we'll see all this thing happening in the case of this particular episode. Brahmaji was not satisfied. That is dissatisfaction. Disrespect comes in relation to Kumar towards Brahma, 4 Kumāras towards Brahma. Then we had disturbance created by Rudra's attempt to serve. Then we have distraction. Brahmaji became distracted by running service. And deficiency, despite all this, population explosion didn't happen. Population took the progeny. It took a long time because after Rudra was created, all this episode, then 10 Manasiputras were created. Then after that came Swayambhuva Manu and Satrupa. Even then, it didn't happen. Swayambhuva and Satrupa took that opportunity to create progeny. and then their Vanshas started. It took a long time for actually this world to get populated. And ultimately, generations down the line, that you had Kashyapa Muni getting married to Diti and Aditi, creating Adityas, Daityas like that. And then you had, in that same Kadama Muni daughters actually were the one who gave birth to all kind of animal species. All that comes. It took a lot of time like this. So these are the 5 main things that we get to learn about service challenges that we face. And every sadhaka should try. So any service that we do, we should go ahead through this. You call it as a model. I've been recently teaching this leadership courses around courses. So I've been focusing more on building models about how things are done. So this could be your service model in terms of what to avoid while running services. These are the challenges. So this 5 Ds have to be taken care. What is the first D? Dissatisfaction. Example is Brahma himself, not happy with that. Second D, dissatisfaction. Disrespect that we saw Kumāras towards. Brahma said we're not doing it. Third D, disturbance. Rudra not knowing what exactly is the end result expected, end up producing something else. Fourth, distraction. Brahmaji got distracted from his service, the last episode. And the fifth, deficiency, not having the required skills to be able to render service. These are the 5 Ds, 5 challenges. That's the main subject matter which gets highlighted through this episode of Brahma getting into service. All right, let's just read the translation of the verses. We'll take the subject matter peacefully next week. I'm here next week. So we should be able to have it. So text number 5, son disobeyed father. Brahma spoke to his sons after generating them and they said no. Text number 6. Anyone would like to read online these translations? Okay, how do I see audience here? Okay, Nikhil, your hand is up. Go ahead. Read up to the verse number 14.
Okay. Hare Krishna, Pranam. Text number 6, translation. On the refusal of the sons to obey the order of their father, there was much anger generated in the mind of Brahma, which he tried to control and not express. Text 7, translation. Although he tried to curb his anger, it came out from between his eyebrows, and a child mixed blue and red was immediately generated. Text number 8. After his birth, he began to cry, O destiny maker, teacher of the universe, kindly designate my name and place. Text number 9. The all-powerful Brahma, who was born from the lotus flower, pacified the boy with gentle words, accepting his request and said, do not cry. I shall certainly do as you desire. Text 10. Thereafter Brahma said, O chief of the demigods, you shall be called by the name Rudra by all people because you have so anxiously cried. Text 11. My dear boy, I have already selected the following places for your residence: the heart, the senses, the air of life, the sky, the air, the fire, the water, the earth, the sun, the moon, and austerity. Text 12. Lord Brahma said, my dear boy Rudra, you have 11 other names: Manu, Manu, Mahinasa, Mahan, Shiv, Ratadhwaja, Ugrareta, Bhav, Kal, Vamadev, and Dhritvrata. Text 13. O Rudra, you also have 11 wives, called the Rudranis, and they are as follows: Dhi, Dhriti, Rasla, Uma, Niyut, Sarpi, Ila, Ambika, Iravati, Swadha, and Diksha. Text 14. My dear boy, you may now accept all the names and places designated for you and your different wives. And since you are now one of the masters of the living entities, you may increase the population on a large scale. Hare Krishna.
Text number 15 also.
Okay.
The most powerful Rudra, whose body color was blue mixed with red, created many offsprings, exactly resembling him in feature, strength, and furious nature. Text number 16.
The sons and grandsons generated by Rudra were unlimited in number, and when they assembled together, they attempted to devour the entire universe. When Brahma, the father of the living entities, saw this, he became afraid of the situation. Text 7.
The last line of the purport writes, descendants of Rudra sometimes made plans to kill Rudra by the grace of Rudra. An example? Vrakasura. That is the nature of his beloved devotees. Sajjan Bhakt. ठीक है, टेक्स्ट नंबर 17. अलम प्रजाभिः षष्टाभिर् यदृशिभिः सुरोत्तमा मया सहादन्तिभिर् दिशश्चक्षुर्भिर् उल्बणैः. Brahma told Rudra, "Oh, best of them, there is no need for you to generate living entities of this nature. They have begun to devastate everything on all sides with the fiery flames from their eyes, and they have even attacked me." Text number 18, we'll pause with this. So, what to do? So, here the one lesson that we learn. So, we can't blame Rudra for what happened. It was a responsibility of Brahmaji to define what's the goal. He showed the way, create. Maybe what time of project to be created? अब आपने ये बताया नहीं कि एंड रिजल्ट कैसा होना चाहिए, तो उस प्रकार से तो for every service the end goal should be clarified. If it is not clarified, we should ask. Otherwise, what are you doing? How does it work? It doesn't work actually. Text number 18. Tapatishta bhadram te sarvabhuta sukhavaham tapaseva yatha purvam shrashta vishwam vidam bhavan. My dear son, you had better situate yourself in penance, which is auspicious for all living entities, which will bring all benediction upon you. By penance only shall you be able to create the universe as it was before. Text number 19. Tapaseva param jyote bhagvantam madapsajam sarvabhuta guhavasam anjasa vindate pamad. By penance only one can even approach Supreme Personality Godhead, who is within the heart of every living entity, at the same time beyond the reach of all senses. Purport, last 2-3 lines. Indirectly, the sons and followers of Rudra are advised to stop the business of annihilation, following the Rudra principle while the peacefulcation of Brahma is going on. मम्मी जी कह रहे यार मुझे क्रिएट तो करने दे, पहले तो शुरू हो गया, तेरा भी समय आएगा बर्बादी करने का, पर मेरे को कुछ क्रिएट तो करने दो, and then do it. All right, so we'll pass here. Text number 20 on the sea. Now, why Rudra is said to be a glorified son? We'll continue with this question. Why Rudra is, I'm talking Rudra, because what was born was of ferocious nature, form of the Lord Shiva. Why Rudra is glorified? Rudra is glorified despite being in that ferocious nature. He was so obedient to his father. Once Brahma said, stop, he stopped. Imagine yourself, you have started the service. It's not easy. It's not Rudra had a fun time creating that kind of praja. Those details are not mentioned. He must have had some, struggle to do that. You have started your seva. And then the end result is not what was actually expected. And then you are told, stop. How many will say, ठीक है, कर देंगे. आपकी इच्छा प्रभु. आपने जैसे कहा. I think it's going to be difficult. Okay, you tell me how to fix it. I will create another. But I cannot stop the process. And Brahmaji stop. Shut down the whole warehouse of production unit. Go back, PDC. Go back, perform penance. Purify your consciousness. Once you're ready, then you start. Just like a devotee does some hera pheri here, we send him for backup. Chalo, backup mein jao. You do backup. You spend 6 months in backup. When your conscience is okay, then we'll think it. If not, go to DT department. When your conscience is aligned, you serve there for 8 to 10 hours now. Then we'll send you out for doing things. Is it easy? It's very painful. It's very painful. Therefore, Rudra is glorified. Look at his obedience. He said, all right, I accept my mistake. So the greatness of the person is not because he has produced great results. Greatness of his person is his ability to accept his weakness. I'll say that again. Greatness of the person is not measured by his ability to produce great results. Greatness of the person is measured by his ability to accept his weakness. Because that's the most difficult thing to do. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Hare Krishna. माफ करिएगा, आप लोगों को निराश करा. हमें आगे पढ़ना था, आगे तो जा नहीं पाए, पर एटलीस्ट kuch man ki baat bhi. I mean, I don't know also what all I said during the discussion, but there's some of the points. Hope something was of some value for all of you. Any quick question or any comment on the discussion we had? Anyone wants to say anything about, or anyone wants to clarify anything? Okay, perfect. So we shall, Krishna willing, meet next Friday, and that time we'll take it. This is a very, very important and a beautiful chapter. Thank you all. Because of you, I also get to open Bhagavatam. Otherwise, I'm also running all day long. Got to read this. It's a big chapter, so I don't promise that we'll cover it. I'm in no hurry, as I said, probably a session before. Now starts some very beautiful sections of Bhagavatam. So we like to do it for the sake of, little relish also. So we also do it. Not that I want to complete a syllabus. There's nobody governing me to complete a syllabus. I'm not bound by any law that I have to complete a syllabus. So we can go as it goes. All right, Hare Krishna. Thank you all for joining. Srila Prabhupada Ji ki